The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
The Checkpoint is drawing to an end, but before I say goodbye, you will get a chance to meet the world's #1 culture and brand expert right now.
Our guest is one of our times maybe most iconic and recognized branding, culture and transformation expert, having introduced such terms as Neuro Marketing, texting, small data, and contextual marketing. By the way, guys, Time magazine named him as one of the world's 100 most influential people. In 2022, our guest was selected as my favorite LinkedIn's #1. He was the first as an influencer in the US, and for 8 years running, the prestigious Thinker 50 board has listed him among the world's top 50 business thinkers. He's a frequent contributor to the New York Times, Financial Times, and Fast Company, and I'm so happy that today, finally, he will be contributing to Business Media Georgia and the Checkpoints and the Georgian Forbes. So, ladies and gentlemen, Martin Lindstrom, great to have you with us here.
Well, great to be here. And listen, I'm so sad that you didn't say my work for Forbes, because
You did?
Yeah, I've been writing
Correct
for
me.
Forbes. Here we go.
You've been contributing, or how was that, Martin?
Yeah, I have. So here we go. It's not just Time magazine and all those other people.
Other people.
Yeah, exactly.
They will be upset listening to this. Yeah, good friends and good competitor. Is it your first time being in Georgia?
No. I've actually been here once before, where I did ethnographic visits, where I was moving in with local folks to understand their culture, to understand how we live in Georgia, how people think and feel. So
What was that?
Well, I quite often do that in almost in every country in the world. I've done it in more than 100 countries across the world, with 3,000 families I moved into and lived with over the last almost 20 years.
While it's not your first visit, tell me about your first impression. By then, what was the first impression about Georgia?
People from Georgia are very unique. I've never been, I'm not kidding here, I've never been to a country before where you're so welcomed, and literally, and you can recognize this, they invite you home to a dinner. And it's almost like you just meet them on the street, you're invited straight into the home. Now, I also lived in Switzerland. They will never, ever in a million years do that. Here in Georgia, you're welcomed home, and they have a Toastmaster. The Toastmaster. And what's amazing is when you go across the country, each of the families have different traditions. And as you know, the wine and the grapes are so unique. So what I felt was, this is a country with a very deep history, lots of diversity, so many rituals, so many traditions which are defining this place. It's a very rich country, and I was blown away by it, because if you go to other countries, you would not feel that. This is really different here.
Martin, tell me, if you had time to think about how Georgia is exploring or developing its asset as its culture and history is.
It's horrible. It's horrible because you're sitting here with all this amazing talent. You have it's an unpolished diamond. You have amazing creative people. You have an amazing history. You have diversity with the religions which have been in and out. I mean, I've never been to a place where you have so many religions, so many churches, mosques, synagogues just next to each other. That creates creativity. You invented the puppet theater. You have the most unique font in the world. You have 3,000 grapes. You had the Spice Silk Road going through. All these things have created a very rich culture, but it's completely unknown outside Georgia. Yes, the Russian knows about it. I don't think we can use that for a lot these days. That was it. But we have the whole central part of Europe. They have no idea. So still no idea. No, they don't. And I think that's a shame. Just to get here is a nightmare. It takes almost 24 hours for most people to fly into it, even though it's just around the corner. So I think there's enormous potential. This is a country which can build a very strong country brand, just in the line as you have France or Switzerland and Germany and UK. But I think we need to unleash that creativity, and hopefully that will happen now.
Hopefully. Tell me more about What does it mean being a branding, culture, and transformation expert together? Like yourself is, I need some
education. Yeah, maybe I need to rebrand myself.
Yes,
yeah.
why not?
Well, listen, a brand, have to remember, is to manage perception. It is to be very focused. I'll give you an example, and
Please,
this is a
go
test.
ahead.
If I say one word now, then you have to think about what brand owns this word. If I take the word search, what company would you think about if I say search?
You mean association with
It could be a brand.
Brand.
Yeah.
Search. It's definitely some connected to internet. Google.
Google, here we go. One word, search. How come they own it? Well, because they through so many years have primed you to think about that. Now, what's so interesting is Google is not the best search engine in the world. We think they are because we've been brainwashed. You can take Volvo, that's safety. You can take Magic, it's Disney. What is the one word for Georgia? This is point number one. That is branding. You are very succinct, very focused. The second thing is, how do you make the population align themselves to it? If I go to Thailand, it's the land of the smiles, okay? If you go to Switzerland, it's all about accuracy and the watch, right? So you have different countries and cultures which reflect that message. That's point number two. Third is transformation. How do you transform this country, the culture, the brand, the service, so it evolves with time? It's not standing still in the past. Some countries have done that. Russia stands still. Then you have other ones which are very progressive. South Korea, right? So culture, transformation, and branding really fits together very well.
Okay, tell me then, I'll do my best as an interviewer. Tell me about such terms as neuro marketing, texting, small data, and contextual marketing.
In 30
I'm trying
seconds.
to do my best.
Yeah, exactly.
You will
You're doing it.
definitely
Yeah,
have some more samples or examples in
I'm
relation.
impressed. Do you know what? Creativity is all about combining two ordinary things in a new way. Back in the days, I decided to say, if you want to evolve the concept of building brands, you need to combine it with new things. So I took the idea of marketing, I took neuroscience, and it became neuro marketing, right? I combined two ordinary things in a new way, and that became a whole new discipline. When it comes to some of the other terms like contextual marketing, well, that appeared in 1994 when the World Wide Web was appearing. It basically is to send the right message to the right audience at the right time. Back in the days, we couldn't do that.
No.
You had a cinema, you're sending a message, it was fixed. Now it's all contextual. So a lot of my work is to predict the future 5 minutes before it happens. That means suddenly I can take the credit for it. In reality, I was just making it up, but it works, right?
Is this what you're going to be sharing with the locals during your existing trip to Georgia? I mean, let's assume, last my two questions. What are you going to be talking about here?
Well, tomorrow I'm going to talk about the idea of what is happening as a consequence of the aftermath of COVID-19, the situation we're in right now in the world, but also how companies transform given the situation we're in right now. And what's fascinating is that in the old days, we had what we call an entry point. Procter & Gamble developed a term called entry point. We have 7 entry points in our lives. For example, one is I expect a newborn baby. Guess what? There is baby equipment everywhere. When I see it, I get new neighbors, I get new kids, I get new friends. That's an entry point. We have 7 of those. Because of COVID-19 and because of the aftermath of that, we're now seeing there is, for the first time ever, an 8th entry point happening, a global synchronized behavioral change. That is because we are behaving completely differently right now. I'm going to talk about the 8th entry point tomorrow.
At the same time, I'm trying to follow at least the following your books. Ministry of Common Sense, Biology, Small Data. Is there anything you will be talking about out from these books as well? Or?
Yeah, I'll talk a lot about how companies evolve when they have bureaucracy and complexity and all that stuff which are making life difficult as an employee. How do we still make sure innovation stay intact? And we're also going to talk about the subconscious behavior, how you and I behave in an irrational way, and how we work with consumers and companies to make those two things come together. Hopefully, in the end of the day, to show how brands can be built and thrive despite a potential recession ahead.
I will share by mail. I hopefully I'll be there as well. just to share everything
That'd be amazing.
on my behalf. But tell me about the QATAR Foundation. If you know anything about your local hosts, how they are doing and what they are trying to cover.
Well, I'm not a representative for them.
I know.
They've invited me in to speak on their behalf, but what I understand from the foundation is that they want to create a framework where creativity can thrive.
Correct.
And where they can give creatives the chance of using their talents within safe frames, which I think is a brilliant idea.
Taking into consideration that it's the first attempt of the venture fund doing the following covering. I'm mostly covering 99% of the news happening in this country in the fields of economic and business. To be honest, it will be the first and hopefully definitely going to be a successful attempt.
Well, I think there's a good chance for it. Why is that? Because this is a perfect timing. I mean, you have 20,000 programmers coming from Russia right now into Ukraine and into this place now to Georgia, where they literally are having amazing talent. And it means that if we can get those people, we can get the people from Ukraine, then I think Georgia is standing in a very unique position with a lot of talent, which are not necessarily priced at the same level as people in the UK or elsewhere. So you can actually use that as a foundation to create a creative hub. And if you can give people the tools and the network to do it, why not do it? And I think the timing is perfect for it.
Thank you so much for your time, Martin.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.